I'll send you the bill for my 3-degree head burn.
All right, sunglasses on. What a beautiful day.
What a beautiful day.
How you feeling?
Absolutely.
How you feeling?
I always feel on top of the world.
Great.
Even when the days aren't beautiful, I feel on top of the world.
Yeah,
Because
you-
I know they will be sooner or later. Right?
And you and Maria like to come down here.
We come down here, and if it's not cold, we take the beautiful walk down the pier that you'll see in a
See in a
bit.
moment.
And then along the beach. And if it is cold, we stay in the car, have our coffee, and just overlook the water because it is so spectacular.
Where are we?
We are at the Whitby Pier, at the bottom of Whitby, at Brock Street, and you'll see the lighthouse that guides the boats in at night. Again, when you do your panoramic view.
And what's today, do you know?
Today is the day before tomorrow and the day after yesterday. The 15th of September
2014.
2014.
So what have you been through in the last,
9 years?
no, since last time we talked in your kitchen?
Yeah, I guess I finished my 4th chemo treatment in July, and that was followed by my 2nd stem cell transplant.
Wow.
And it was almost deja vu from my first one 6 years ago.
How many people get two stem cell transplants?
Not very many. The reason that I found out is when they harvest your blood, which for me they did 9 years ago, most people are not able to harvest enough blood to have a 2nd stem cell. And if you have to use somebody else's blood, the chances of survival are very low, lower than what mine were. And even if you survive, the complications are so intense that the quality of life suffers. So I was fortunate enough when they harvested my blood to have enough for 2 stem cell transplants.
How are you
And
feeling?
today I feel fantastic. Not every day is the same because I was in the hospital for about 13 days, which is exactly the same as last time. And so it's been recovery since basically July the 8th. It's recovery mode, and that literally takes about a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't mean I feel down physically for a year, but to get back your immune system where it was prior to the stem cell takes a year in totality. But I started feeling good within the first week and second week, and then dipped the next 2 weeks that were not fun. Still managed to smile my way through it, and then since that, so about a month ago, it started to pick up again.
Was there any walking the halls this time using
Every day.
No, but using the expletives?
No, I was
Scaring the people on the
I was a little quieter this time. I was doing that all under my breath, that I will beat this effing thing, I will beat this effing thing. But I think the difference in 6 years ago, I already knew I was going to beat this effing thing. So I didn't need as much affirmations as I did the first go around. But it's amazing. I know you're an absolutely huge believer, Dave, in positive attitude, positive thinking, and what it does. And as am I. And when I was in the hospital, the nurse, as I was walking the floor for the umpteenth time that day, actually stopped me in my tracks and said to me, "I just want to let you know what a positive influence you are on this entire floor."
Haha, spreading the good news.
And that's because I'd pop in the patients' rooms and I'd be joking with them, laughing with them, trying to get their spirits up. And
Why do you do that?
it's just natural. It comes natural. I think it's part of it from being a big family and helping each other, and having a mother that her whole life was giving. That's what she did. She'd get on a bus and a streetcar and a subway just to visit a friend that was sick, so that she could give her whatever. So I think it just worked its way through, and almost all my family members are the same. Being the youngest of 9, I got to see a lot of that happen over the years, and it's just something naturally that I do, whether it's for my own family or somebody outside that's sick. And I think that's the difference for me, is I never really considered myself sick.
Yeah, no, you're
I mean, with a fatal disease, it's not a thought for me, so I'm able to kind of rise above it, if that's the right word.
I haven't heard you complain in 5 years, not
No.
once, ever.
And I don't complain to my wife or my kids, and if I'm literally sick and can't get out of bed, it's just, okay, I can't get out of bed today, so it'll be a better day tomorrow.
How are they handling everything?
I think, again, the second time around, much easier. I think for them it was a given that I was going to do well, even though the odds were still the same as the first one, that I wouldn't survive it. But I think they just say, okay, it's Dad, he'll survive, he'll be home, and we'll be back to normal in no time. And that's kind of an attitude they will now take as they approach their life.
Yeah, do you think that? Do you know that?
I know that.
They pick this up?
Oh yeah, I see when they slip up, which we all do, and they're no different as now all in their 20s, and when they slip up, it's okay, I slipped up, let's turn it around and move forward. And you know, my daughter just went through a pretty traumatic experience in her life, and within a month of all the trauma happening, she had enrolled in school. She now is going through that process, and already has been offered a full-time job from one of the places that she's working
So the fruit
as
doesn't
a
fall
student.
far from the tree.
Yeah, and it's probably nothing I taught them specifically, as my mom and dad never taught us a thing specifically. It's all inherent, and you see it, and I think that's what they've seen from me.
Lead by example.
Lead by example, and it's not always a good example,
Yeah.
for sure. And they've seen the
We're
weaknesses,
still human,
and
but
we're still human. I think that's the beauty of life, is recognizing. And since my second stem cell, I think I've recognized that more than ever, is we are still human. And I make a ton of mistakes, and I have a lot of weaknesses, and I have a lot of addictions, and each one of them is just part of who I am, and I'm able to smile at them and laugh and make sure they don't take over my life, and that they're merely a part of it.
and as hard as I try, you're not ready to admit that your attitude, approach, and success in this trying time makes you somewhat superhuman.
No, I never would. I live in a world of humility, I think, and just take things for granted, and pretty humble about anything that's been successful in my life. But where I will share certainly what the positive attitude did was not this stem cell transplant, but the first one, where they were not going to give it to me no matter what. I was not a candidate, and my doctor did say it was greatly part of my attitude that they finally succumbed and let me have the first stem cell transplant. And then funny enough, when I was doing the second one, the oncologist, it wasn't even a discussion. She just said, okay, we're going to do chemo for a bit, but then you're going to do a stem cell. So I didn't even have to.
I'm not going to be able to stop this guy anyway. So.
Yeah. So, and you know, in my conversations with her, I used to always ask her that question, because I was given a fatal diagnosis 9 years ago. Am I going to be around at this time? And she would never answer it. And then she did say on several occasions, well, with your attitude, I'm sure I'm going to see you at your 60th birthday party. And I was only 47 at the time. So, and probably true to her word, I'm 56 now, so in 4 years I'll be celebrating my 60th, which is kind of unheard of given, you know, the depth of my disease.
Let's
right?
meet back here in 4 years and do this again.
Hey, wouldn't that be
I want to
fantastic?
give them a look at the surroundings for a second, and that's going to mean I have to get up.
Absolutely. Clear road more in the distance. Looks like it's dancing. People casually strolling along the boardwalk. It changes your life, water, I think. It's that calming, intoxicating effect where no matter how long you look, you still don't slur your words. I've always had an admiration and an affection for water, and I think that's part of that calming nature that it does for you. No matter how stressed you can be, come down here, look at that water for a while, and your stress seems to melt away the longer you look at it. And with the breeze and the sun and the trees and the people passing by, it's just the moments that you cherish most in life for me.
Beautiful moments, the quiet, gentle ones.
The quiet, gentle ones.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
Well, we couldn't have picked a better day for it.
Absolutely.
So what are you going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do tomorrow just to help celebrate?
Tomorrow I'm actually starting the first day of my aquafit.
Oh yeah, back in the pool.
Back in the pool.
Great.
Back in the pool. And that'll be followed shortly by Pilates and then yoga. One of the things I think I've come to learn, I don't know if that's the right word, but come to realize after my second stem cell, which after that I kind of call it my third life. I'm living my third life. Is that I've now had the ability to compartmentalize things in my life. Whereas I think prior to, I tried to do so many things all at the one time because I figured my life had been shortened by the disease. And when you try and do too many things all at the same time, you end up not doing anything at any time. So when we went through a pretty stressful period when we found out I was going to go for another stem cell and chemo, and we had some interesting times with my daughter, and my wife's business was not doing well, so we were trying to sell that, and that all happened at the same time. We wanted to sell our house and downsize, so in the event that the disease does win the battle over me, my wife will already be in a place of comfort, and that she can continue living stress-free at that point. So what I was able to do with the help of my wife, and together we did it, was compartmentalize all the things that were causing us the greatest stress in our life at that time. And we said, instead of doing them all, let's just do one at a time, deal with one at a time, and when we've accomplished that, we'll move on to the next one.
Did you rank them?
It was probably funny enough, which doesn't happen a lot at times in my life. It was probably ranked on what was giving us the most stress at the time.
Sure, precisely.
And some that were immediate, and immediate is the family. If anything's up with my family, it supersedes anything else that I do in life, and that's always been my philosophy.
Family, fun, and I can't remember what you said back at the filming at your kitchen.
Well, I think my words now are family, fun, and passion.
Good, then we'll renew them then.
And I think I've added family, fun, passion, and stupidity, because that certainly creeps up quite a few times. So yeah, we were able to compartmentalize them, and we did. We dealt with every one of them. Each one of them has subsequently turned around and been resolved, so the level of stress has been removed. We stayed positive through each one of them, and now the compartmentalization, if that's the word, is just dealing with myself getting back the maximum health and strength that I can.
That's the priority, isn't it, right now?
That is the priority, and it's kind of family oriented, because the longer I'm here, the longer I get to live with my wife and my kids and my brothers and my sisters. So the key is getting strong as much as my body and nature is going to allow me to, and the stronger you get, the more your attitude improves. We all know the benefits of health. And funny, we think it's so complicated, and the more I look at it, and the more my wife Marie ingrains it in my head, it's three things. It's eat the proper food, drink the right amount of water, and exercise. Like, there's no magic elixir in it, right? It's
living, walking proof of that.
And yeah, and I don't always do those three in order, and I don't always do them at the right amounts, but...
Give me a second.
Yeah.
You can edit that out. I want to catch this boat.
You like sailboats, don't you, Dave? You find that is where comfort comes, just watching that and seeing what they're about to do and heading out to the open waters. That's certainly a lot of freedom that you can see on that boat.
Our kind of values.
Our kind of values.
Freedom to be comfortable.
And freedom to feel good. Because I'm sure each of those three individuals that I see on the sailboat are feeling pretty good right about now. And they've left probably a lot of stress back on the dock before they took off. And this is without the sails. Wait till the sails actually go up.
Who needs stress?
Who needs stress, yeah.
It's so easy, isn't it? You look out, beautiful day, the sun sparkling on water, the air is clear down here, the day is calm, there's almost no wind,
Right.
and it's the perfect conditions to feel happy.
And
No complication, nothing Nothing interfering in your core desire just to be happy.
And I think the important thing you said, it's okay to feel stressed. It's natural. It's going to happen
it's
in
there.
everybody's life. Or, you know, there's a lot of success stories, but there's a lot of stressful stories that happen as part of that success. And I think we all understand that. And I think people worry that they have stress and that they have problems, but guess what? It's part of life.
What do you think you did to keep your stress at a minimum? Not because you had to, but just because you wanted to.
One of them for sure is a sense of humor. I laugh at most things. I don't think, I say I don't take it serious, but I take it serious within context that if something's happened in my family, that's very serious to me. But even within there, I'm able to work with the family members and we laugh together and we get through what the trials and tribulations are of growing up and experimenting, and there's not always the right choices. I just think back to my youth and the things that I did were not always good choices, and here I am, married for 32 years with 3 kids, and vice president at 34, helped my wife run a business, survived a fatal disease, so we can screw up and still be okay. In fact, if you
Where
don't...
was the screw up in there?
Yeah, in fact, I think if we don't screw up, we're really not trying in life, because to take the easy road just... It'll get you by, but I think trying once in a while and not succeeding is where you ultimately learn to get on top of things.
What do you think of this formula, that the life of your dreams, just a phrase that people are familiar with and comfortable with, is equal to stable happiness plus the pursuit of $1 million life? And the $1 million life to us is the ability to convert a dream into reality, to think it through, to look at it and to stay out of your own way and create the life that you want. So stable happiness and the ability to create the life you want. But that's pure and simple the life of your dreams. What do you think of that equation?
Yeah, I love the equation. I mean, the key words for me are happiness. It's not always stable, but the goal is to try. Right. Not to be, so it's okay not to be happy every day.
So what did you do?
Focus, and for me it was, where's my passions? My family is my passion, so I focused on them, knowing I wanted to be around as long as I could to be with them. So the $1 million life for me isn't necessarily measured in terms of how many dollars are in my bank. It's measured in terms of how much my family and I love each other, and the things I do with my wife that are so simple mean more to me than whether I owned a Porsche or a Mercedes. They're the things I can take pure joy in. The other thing I used as my passion was motivation, and another one of my passions is golf. So even as I lay in my hospital bed and my muscles had atrophied to a great degree, and doctors said, you may not be able to golf, there was no question in my mind is not only am I going to be able to golf, I'm going to be able to walk the course one day. And sure enough, after my first stem cell, I not only golfed, I walked the course with my son. So the motivation to improve yourself, if you have that dream down the road, and you referenced the $1 million dream, and that could mean anything to anyone. It's not always about money. For a lot of people it is, and for others it's just getting a stable life where they wake up feeling good instead of waking up feeling bad. And that was always, for me, even the motivation when I managed a lot of people, was saying, did you wake up in the morning and want to come to work?
Why are so many people, and I'll just point out the doctors, the authorities in this case, but I think they represent a huge cross-section of the population, negative? Why would they spin this thing negatively? Why? You've never told me about anybody saying, I really believe in you, I really think you can do it. You got all that at home. But
Right.
Why are the professionals so seemingly adamant that we should be looking on the dark side?
Yeah, I think part of it
Now the
is,
sun should come out just as I asked that one.
yeah, as it went around behind the cloud is even better. And then it'll come out as
There we
I'm
go,
just
there we
about
go,
to
there we
speak.
go.
There we go.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty good. No, I think for the people that are negative, I really do believe a lot of that is what did they grow up with.
Okay.
And I believe if they grew up in a quasi-negative environment, whether they knew it or not, that's what they took with
Well, let
them.
me push. You know lots of people that are like that, or whose parents were like that, wherever the source of it is.
Yes.
Why is there such a strong source that pushes the average person in the direction of darkness?
Because I believe what a lot of us feel is important and what we pursue as important isn't necessarily that important in the big picture.
So what have they made, in your opinion, what have they made important? That's what drives them, is to push and support the darkness.
Yeah, and for me, people that especially are in those professions, they almost devote their entire life to it. And they'll do it at the expense of their family. And I think once you do that, you've already headed towards a pretty negative outcome, because the rewards are not what happens at the end of the day in the office. For me, the rewards are what happens at the end of the day with your family. And it doesn't have to be family, because not everybody has a family. But it's more not the physical pursuits that you should be after, even though that's what's important to most people. And when you only go after them, I think you lose sight of what is really important in life, which is waking up and feeling good every day, regardless of the circumstances.
You wake up with your heart in the morning and say, what can I do to feel good
Yeah.
from this moment
Yeah, I
forward?
can't wait to jump out of bed. Like, man, having that feeling is pretty good.
What do you think is, let's hope this doesn't get deleted from the final cut, but what do you think is the overall chance of success that this program of ours has, that we're going out and suggesting to people that stable happiness, the pursuit of $1 million life, which is nothing more than being able to create results in your life that make you happy? What do you think the chances of success are of this?
I really believe the chance is 110%. Because if you can find what that success really looks like to you, not based on what somebody else is telling you, like i.e. society saying you have to have money and you have to have a big house and you have to have the portion. So if you can find what's important to you, and then you put behind that feeling good every day in the pursuit of
The
it,
sun is really helping us here.
there you go. The sun's going to shine on it, but that's what it is. It's what's important to you, not what's important to somebody else. And I do believe you hit the nail, or the hammer on the head of the nail every time when you talk about the happiness and feeling good. Because without that, you could achieve other things, but if you're not happy, you don't feel good, then it kind of defeats the purpose of going after all that success.
And I didn't prompt you to say that, right?
You did not prompt me to say that, but you can pay me after.
I will. That's been our promise from the beginning, is that if you'll get the happiness in front of the desire for the toys,
Right.
the desire for the toys is just going to follow you.
Or
Say,
may
"Oh, you
go
want a
away.
car? Or it may go away.
Or
whatever
more
you
go
want.
away. The happiness in itself may be enough for some people.
But you have the choice then. At
But
that
you have
point.
the choice.
So start with the desire for happiness, change your mind for good,
Right.
and go chase the things that make you feel good, make your heart sing. And
Right.
then take your eyes off the rest of it. And if the rest of it is supposed to follow you, it will. And
Right.
if it isn't meant to, you'll only be deliriously happy.
And for all the naysayers that would see this and say, well, Jesus, I'm not happy, I have too much stress in my life, the starting point is saying, wake up in the morning, instead of saying, damn, I feel shitty or the day's going to be crappy, just say, I feel good.
Let's take a stab at that. You're being watched by somebody for the very first time who's never come across this material before, and they've listened to your story, and they believe in you, and they don't know where to start. And they're saying,
Right.
are you kidding me? Stable happiness? That's inconceivable. $1 million life? That's just, I can't even imagine dreaming of that. What would be your recommendation for a step one?
Step one is literally to wake up and say, I feel good. Whether you really deep down believe it or not doesn't matter. If you say it enough times, because you probably said to yourself so many times over your life, I don't feel good. I'm very unhappy. I'm very depressed. I'm very sad. Life sucks. If you keep saying that, it's inevitable that you make your life as such. So if you wake up and you start saying, wow, I feel good, you're going to start to do the things that make you feel even better.
Are friends of yours like John and JP and the like that you think so highly of, did they naturally come from that sort of background where they said, I don't really care what happens to me each day, I care about how I feel, and right this moment I feel good, and even if I don't, I want to feel good.
Yeah, and I
These are the
think-
type of people that come into this stuff naturally.
And I think that's the key, as we've said in the past when we've met them, is it's natural. And
It
that,
seems so natural.
and for some people it's not natural, but I think if you convince yourself that you feel good, it'll become part of your nature over time.
And that's my case, okay? That's the big distinction we've always drawn between us, is that I came from a background which was completely full of limiting thoughts and self. And there's the sun. Just
Yes, you talk about your childhood. Yes. You know, these clouds are perfect segues today.
We're not doing this on purpose. That is the sun. Do you want to see it?
For those that believe in God, this is God.
That's right. And I just wanted to feel good. I was skiing with a buddy in 2008, I think it was, and we were going up a chairlift in Vermont, and I said, you know, I don't think it's a lot to ask, but I just want to be happy.
Right.
And that was at the end of a long period of struggle and suffer, but mostly struggle with how do I make this work? And then I'm just so delighted to meet you and find out that it is in fact effortless once you get out of your own way and say, how do I want to feel each day? So that's the distance that I've come, and here you are sitting here today saying you've never known it any other way.
I've never known it any other way. That's why when you will ask me about my stem cells and my so-called amazing recovery, it's part of my makeup. Well, it wouldn't have been any other way. And the great thing about my belief in feeling good is there were times I thought, yeah, okay, maybe I'm not going to be here. Right? I mean, I was told by enough people I wasn't going to be. But the great thing about my life and living it, that you feel good every day, and I don't feel good every day. I mean, I try, but it's not every day because life throws curves at you and you deal with it, but it's how you deal with it that, okay, I'm going to feel good the next day. Because I've been knocked down a few times for sure. But when I thought about it sincerely, okay, I might not be here, and I thought, okay, if today is the last day of my life, how do I feel? And I felt totally content. Mm-hmm. If that was going to be my last day or tomorrow, how I live my life and the events that have happened in my life and the love of my family, I would say great. I've had a great life. We all wish we could last as long as possible, but so that would just convince me that even with all the ups and downs I've had, even with all the fatal diagnoses, I was content. And I'm still content. I get more content every day.
Well, let's extrapolate that. Next week, next month, next year, you're pulling out of your second stem cell, feeling perhaps even better than the first one, and now you're an experienced stem cell transplant recoverer.
Yes.
What would you like to do? What's your dreams now? Not necessarily what's in the plans, but what are your dreams right now?
Yeah, and I think very consistent with the work we had done on your happiness and feeling good. It's how to help other people feel good now. In fact, something came across my email the other day, and it was writing children's books. And I do believe, as psychologists will tell us, by the time a child is 6 years old, it's almost their life is set. So it's that tender age up to 6 and what influences them and what they see and what they hear and what their parents are doing. So it hit me very strongly that, wow, if I could write a child's book, a children's book, somehow interrelated to feeling good every day, no matter what the circumstances at that age, how powerful that would be for that child for the rest of their life. And if it would obviously be the mother or the older sibling or the teacher reading the book to them, but if it was the parents doing it, that it's in the family and that philosophy. So this struck me that being able to help some people live a better life, feel a little bit better every day, would be just a wonderful achievement for me. And I may not change the world, but if I can change 1 or 2 people, if I can help the people that have fatal diagnoses to realize that 1, it's not fatal necessarily.
Until you say so.
And 2, whatever time you have, just live it as positively, as happy, and as fun-filled as you can. And whatever your $1 million goal is, there's still time to achieve it.
You will probably increase or improve people's awareness of the opportunity for change.
Yes.
By saying, I'm a walking example of a certain outcome that probably wouldn't be wished on anybody, but that's just circumstances. My desire is to feel good. So therefore, there's this opportunity that never goes away to feel good, but you have to start with this awareness.
Right.
the opportunity exists, and that may be the core function of the work we're doing, the work you'll do. I've got this First 5 foundation in mind where I would like to do the same thing to new parents and suggest that they not slam their children into daycare. I'll probably get letters for that, but don't just think of your children as a transition in your life. Think of them as a stop to
Right.
your life, and as you would probably advocate, a full commitment to the first 5 or 6 years of their
Oh, yeah.
lives before you return to work. Do something brave and bold to get your children connected with the life that you love,
Yes.
and then you can back away and go back to your adult dreams and desires. But just take a few years at the beginning and give them everything you've got, because they're just sponges and they're taking it all in.
Well, my wife works at a daycare, and she's had parents that have actually had a baby, and the baby is less than 3 weeks old, and they're trying to get that baby into daycare
I have my own
because they
opinions
want
on
to
that.
pursue whatever they think is that $1 million lifestyle, but
an
all of a
adult.
sudden, as an adult,
Yes.
and you've just sacrificed, that connection that you're going to have for your child. And just what we said, that first 6 years is so important, and that child's first 6 years is going to be lessened, because I don't think somebody and whether it's a daycare setting, if it's not their child, they don't give the same attention that's
Let's
needed.
go out on a limb, and no disrespect to whoever Maria's customer is, but is that the sort of attitude that creates this need or this desire to look on the dark side because you need to protect yourself from what the future looks like because you didn't have an environment of love and support as a child?
Yeah, and I think it all comes down to life is really, at the end of the day, nothing but choices. And that particular parent, and she happened to be a mother, which is harder for a mother to do that than I think a father in this society, the way the roles have been developed. But she's made a choice that her career is what is most important. And I think it's the same as happiness and unhappiness. You make a choice every day when you wake up. Am I going to be happy or am I going to be unhappy? And I would just venture to say that that mother, at this point in her life, even though she's pursuing her career dream, is not happy. Knowing she's dropping her child off at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning,
Rushing off to work.
rushing off to work, and then the time she spends with her child is from 6 o'clock on that evening, and the first thing she can't wait for is the child to go to bed so she can, continue her work or go to bed herself. So but it's choices. I can speak personally about that because we had 3 children, and literally at the time, they're now all in their mid-20s and older, but at that time I was making $13,000 a year. $13,562 to be exact. I remember the number because Marie and I have talked it quite often, and we made that choice that Marie was going to leave work and stay with our children, which
We
she
made
did.
the same choice.
Yeah, and she did until they went to, I guess, high school almost. And then she started part-time, and now eventually has gone into full-time.
And you did okay.
And we did
And
okay.
I did okay.
Yeah.
It can be done.
Yeah, and was there struggles? Oh my God, absolutely.
Sure, but
It was times where we'd say, Ninja Turtles was the big thing for my son, and we wanted to buy him this big, huge sewer system, and we looked at the price and went, oh my God, we can't do it, so we bought him the little figures, and we made up boxes of little tunnels and that, and I'm telling
and I
you,
know
it's-
the first thing he said was, "Where's the big sewer thing?" Didn't he?
he did say that,
Oh.
but no, he didn't. He was just so thrilled with the Ninja Turtles
Of course he
and
was.
with the Ninja Turtle hat
You were
we
being
had that he wore, I swear, for the next 3 years of his life.
Mm.
He loved that so much, and that cost, a couple of bucks at the time. So you make the sacrifices that you can, but he got more value out of those little figurines than he ever would have out of the tunnel that.
And because his family was there around him all the time, and the gifts weren't being showered on him to compensate for your lack of presence in his life.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So I do agree with you. Being at home with your children, and it is a choice, no matter what you say. So you give up some things. Financially, you give it up. I mean, now fathers can take maternity leave for a year, right? So take turns together if you can.
In Canada only, or at least in Canada.
In Canada only.
We don't know about the States.
Right. Right.
or anywhere else in the world, because this is being seen around the world.
Yep. So there are choices, and some of them are tough, because as much as we sit here saying this, there are a lot of single mothers in this world that have no choice. And I do say that sincerely,
We want them to
because
be happy.
we want them to be happy. But in that particular case, they know they need to go to work to make the money, or they're not paying the rent, and they're not getting the diapers, and they're not getting the baby food. And, you know, in that case, that is a choice.
So with your books, my idea, increase in awareness, a little bit of training in how to make higher quality decisions like we're suggesting, or at least take a good start and make it better, these kids will have a fighting chance for change in their lives
Oh, absolutely.
going forward when they decide how they want to live their lives.
Absolutely. In those few hours that the parent does spend with the child, like, they can accomplish as much in those few hours before the child is 6 years old as some parents do being home all day with them. Again, it just comes down to the choice that you make during those 2 hours. Don't put the kid to bed at 6 o'clock. You know, enjoy some time with them and play with them, and know your work will be there tomorrow. So yeah, and you see people that they are single mothers, and then you marvel at them where not only are they're working and they're picking their kids up, but they're at the gym getting physically fit. You look at the
Studying
smile on their face. They use the weekend to be with their children, and as you say, then they still find time to study to improve their time at the work.
And what do you think their core level of happiness might be?
In terms of,
Just their general level of happiness,
Oh,
if that's how they're
it's-
living their lives.
it's huge. It's high. They are waking up in the morning saying, "Damn, I feel good
And
today.
what am I going to do to make tomorrow better?
I'm doing all this right." You know, we just touched the surface on it, but I think the importance of being physically fit. I've missed that myself as I struggled to get the body back, and knowing what it was like before when I was physically fit, and when it's like not to be physically fit. I mean, for those people that are wondering, how do I find the time for 15 minutes a day? Believe me, find it.
Let me see how much time we got left.
I caught it right on a skinny metal bedpost that my brother had, and it went right in between the toes, and the bruise literally covered 3/4 of my foot. So it happened, I guess maybe the third day we were going golfing, and it was painful, but I think when I had my golf shoes on, it compressed. So I didn't feel quite the pain or notice how bad it was until I took the golf shoe off. It was like it was wrapped, and that's one thing I think I could have done, even though the doctor didn't say. And then as soon as I took them off and put my sandals on, I went, "Holy shit, this is sore!" And as I tried to walk, because it was actually, whatever it did, it was the bottom of the foot. It felt like bruised underneath. So every time you're putting some weight on it, so shoes like this actually help me. You know, so
You got room.
because and it's again compressing it, right? So Maria made me ice it like 5-6 times a day, and it really did help with the swelling. I have to admit, I wouldn't have done anything, but so I don't know if it was broken, but it doesn't matter if it was broken,
Yeah, not now.
not now. And he said if it's sprained, you're 3 weeks with the pain. If it's not, you're 6 weeks. So I don't think it was broken, because already after a week and a bit, it's better. Like, I can walk fairly normal now.
Let's talk about that. That's just before the break. That's what you were about to talk about, was the physical limitations and how that's had an effect on you, because I know you were a handball aficionado.
Runner.
You like fishing. You like to be active, and all of a sudden, physically, that's not an attitude anymore. That's a physical limitation. Stopped. You
Yes.
can't do this anymore, at least not till you rehabilitate. So what was that like?
Is it rolling? Oh, it is? I thought you said in a minute. That's been the hardest part of it, the physical limitations.
There goes the sun.
Yeah, and there goes the sun. Another segue is
How are we
perfect.
doing this?
One of the unfortunate fallouts of the disease I had is the atrophy of all the
Hello,
major
puppy.
muscles. Hey,
Hey, you wanna be
puppy.
in a movie? Ah, that's cute.
Was that I had atrophy in all the major muscle groups, including all my upper thigh, my hips, my chest, and my shoulders. And I was a big fan of physical activity, pretty competitive by nature. So for me, the passions were my handball, my golfing, my running, and now I'm happy if I can get up the stairs without a lot of pain. And then it sounds kind of kooky, but my dream is to be able to get off the frickin' toilet without having to hold on to something. The simple things
Everybody
in life
needs a
that
dream.
you just, like when I do that, when the day I get to that, I'm going to celebrate like there's no tomorrow. I'll
Call
get
me up
champagne
here.
out, yeah. I'll flush the toilet first, but that one's been very hard. But again, I keep it focused, so I looked at it, okay, I can't play handball. What's the next closest thing? So as handball players, we always joked that racquetball was for retired handball players because it's much easier. And in fact, I did get back in the court to play racquetball, and that was such a triumph.
Yes.
You talk about the $1 million lifestyle. For me, just getting physically back in the court, whether it was racquetball or handball, was such a huge triumph for me. And we did celebrate after on that one. The other one was just being able to golf again. And I'm pretty humble, but I was a pretty decent golfer. I could hit the ball pretty far, and now my dream is to be able to hit the ball like I did before. And I'm probably still 50, 60 yards short of my drives from where I was. But then I look at it and I say, well, it's the first time I've been in the middle of the fairway since I started golfing.
Right.
So as much as I could hit it far when I was young, it would be all over. So to be able to hit the ball again that far is still a huge motivator for me. The days I wake up and say, I just don't want to do these things, because I know it's painful, and like getting off the floor is painful. It's an event in itself. But I force myself to go down and do the yoga that I'm doing, or the form of Pilates that I'm able to do. And then the other area of physical activity that was my life was running. I loved it, and my most favorite time to run was in the rain pouring down on me. So when everybody else was at home snuggling under their blankets having hot chocolate, I'd be running in the rain. Winter, it didn't matter. I loved it. And now I can't run, but I'm able to walk. So I'm saying, hell, I can walk, because I look at it as I'm fortunate enough that I didn't lose my calf muscles. So I lost my thigh muscles, but I maintained my calf muscles, which then allow me to walk.
What are the total number of organs or muscles, the whole, how many things are affected?
Yeah, well, the reason they would not allow me to have the stem cell at the beginning was when you get the disease I have, which for the record is called primary amyloidosis, it affects, for most people, one organ or two. So typically the kidney and or the liver. For me, I was one of the lucky candidates to have the liver, the kidney, the heart, the stomach, and then only, to the best of my knowledge and my oncologist, only the second person in Canada that actually affected the muscles. So when I would ask the experts what I do for my muscles, they didn't have anything statistically to say, do this or do that or do this. And then going back to the stem cell, if you have more than one, definitely not more than two organs, you're just not a candidate, because the chance of survival is so low that something is going to give out. Either your heart's going to give out, or you're going to bleed to death, or all your organs are going to shut down. But it was going back to that positive attitude. Despite the number of organs I had, the oncologist went on a limb and said, no, this person will be able to fight it. She had that much faith in me, and I did, and won that battle. And then now I'm in the second battle, in the third part of my life, which I'm going to win as well. And I already have won. I mean, I just feel fantastic sitting here talking to you. Less than 2 months being out of the hospital is pretty good. I've already golfed, which is phenomenal. I've walked a couple of the smaller courses, which is phenomenal.
What's the silliest thing that you do with your time that really would be considered a waste of time? I know it's precious to you, time is precious, but is there anything you do that's just a silly, not waste, but just a silly thing that you don't want to be judged on, but that's a choice you want? It's a choice you make, and it's a choice, that's how I want to spend my time.
Yeah, probably not the answer. This may be edited. But one of the silliest, and when I used the word stupid before, is I do have a lot of passions for things, and unfortunately, one of the passions is gambling.
Oh, that's in
And-
the first one video, so don't worry.
Okay. And, you know, it's easy to justify anything in life. I'm probably one of the best justifiers there are because I can talk about feeling good and all that, and you know when you gamble a lot, it's not a good feeling. And I can say that for the record. What it is, for most people that gamble, and most lose, like the vast majority, in the high 90s, I'm sure the percentage is it's a release, and it's a chance to escape. So those days that you ask me, what do I do silly if I'm down for a day, it's okay, Maria, let's go up to the casino, because I know for a couple of hours I'm not going to think of my muscles, I'm not going to think of the fact I can't run or hit the ball the way I did or play handball or walk up a flight of stairs or get off the damn toilet, and you don't think of anything. So, you know, it's a release, but it's, when I use the word silly, I use the word stupid. Because, you know, my other dream is to make my wife as financially independent when that day comes for me as she can be. So losing money at the casino is silly. It's beyond silly. So I certainly don't justify it, but it's part of my life again. And it's got me into trouble in the past, got me into a lot of trouble, and I learned to deal with it. And I've been able to get it under control. So now it really is, I can say it honestly, a casual release and a casual escape, and we never take enough that we hurt ourselves.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
so, and I don't go on my own.
It's not a problem. It's just it's not.
It's yeah. So for me,
the brightest idea in your menu.
yeah. So that is definitely silly. Hey, how you doing? You know, so that I would consider silly. Some people would consider when Maria and I come down and sit in our car and have a coffee and look at the water because it's too cold to walk silly. Well, for those that have never tried it, do it, because that again is an incredible release. It's an incredible stress reliever. You're enjoying nature, you know, at its finest. And you look around these surroundings that you shared on the tape, and between the trees and the grass and the water and the sailboats and the couples going by and the gentleman on the bike that just went by.
Yeah.
It's, you know, but for other people, they would say that's silly.
Where's the beer cart?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. So they would be some things I do in my life that are silly, that are stupid, and I've never been one to say I'm not stupid.
Right. But you're happy.
But I'm happy, right? And if you don't do the stupid things in excess, and you do it just for a bit of relief, I don't think it's going to hurt anybody. But if you take it to the excess, then that's when people get hurt.
Do me a little favor. Is the sun not in your eyes? Because it's in mine. It looks like it's kind of covering your face. Take off your glasses if you can. Look into the camera. Think of somebody important to you and leave them with a message that's dated September 15th, 2014.
No, the sun's not in my eye.
No, you take your glasses off. I know that you're,
Oh, I see what
because
you're
of the
saying.
sun. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, this message would be to my children. And it would be the day that I'm not here. And instead of being sad for that day, that you wake up and you continue to say, I feel good today. And I feel good because of what my dad was able to show me in life, that how important it was to get up every morning, no matter what the circumstances, and say, I feel good. And if you can start every day with that, the happiness that Dave talks so much about is just going to follow naturally. And the success, whatever that means to the three of you and to anybody else there that's listening, the success will follow. Because feeling good for me is the starting point. And even if you don't, you will soon convince yourself that you do feel good. And then look out, because you can accomplish anything.
Maybe with a little luck, that little person in Maria's care right now will hear this one day and go,
Or
new
if
opportunity.
you think about it, in our whole education system, being able to take, they're called ECAs or ECCs that look after them. Imagine if that's how they spoke to the children in their daycare. Then the parents being in a situation where they have to drop them off can do so knowing that their children are getting that 0 to 6 years old education that's going to improve the entire quality of their life.
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.